Hi guys, it's me Priyank, and in this video we are going to cover forensic investigation methodology and the terms used in it. So what is forensic investigation or cyber forensic? It is a systematic process of digital crime investigation, and there are some protocols that needs to be followed in case of a forensic investigation. So let's start with the first thing, that is case preparation in cyber forensic. The first thing that we'll start with is defining the type of case. So for example, in case of robbery or maybe intellectual property theft, you need to define the objectives of the forensic investigation. Let's take an example. In case if you are planning to investigate for data that has been deleted, or in case of intellectual property theft, you need to understand the case and prepare accordingly. In case of intellectual property theft, let's take an example. You might have to create hashes of the videos or maybe the IP that has been stolen. So once you get an idea and you prepare the case, the next step is identifying or assigning the resources. So identifying expected evidence and its location on the computer. Let's understand it by a simple example. If you are trying to get a detail of a robbery, the next step is to identify expected evidence. So it is basically assigning the resources and allocation for special team member. So for example, if you are planning to recover some data, you might be expecting some data to be recovered. So you need to identify where the expected evidence or and its location on the computer or on the device. You need to understand the legal restrictions. So there are some legal restriction as well. Since we are working with forensic, we obviously have some restrictions. So in case the restriction, there is a criminal law that deals with offenses against the state. A court must authorize a search warrant rules of evidence, and that should also be kept in mind. So the legal aspect, like the legal requirement, should be taken care of. Identify the applicable laws. You cannot just directly recover files. You need to have some permissions. So legality is also a thing. And third but not the least is documentation. You need to identify the involved parties and document accordingly. Whether you are identify, there might be cases where you have devices that are of suspects, or it can be a device of a victim, it can be a device of a witness. So case preparation is really important, and the four things that you need to keep in mind in case to prepare the case preparation is: first, the type of case. Let's take an example. If it's a robbery, you need to understand what you need to fix. In case of robbery, you might have a different case preparation, while in case of intellectual property theft, you might have to find hash values to find if the property is matching with the person's, the original owner. So similarly, next you need to identify where you can expect an evidence, or where the location is it on the device. So in case if you already know that there is an IP theft where the location of the details of the files has been stored. Similarly, you also need to understand the legal part and understanding the legal restriction and search authority. You need to have court orders and search warrants even for recovering files. And the last thing is to identify the involved parties. The device might be a victim's device, or a suspect's device, or a witness's device. So that is really important in case of preparation for cyber forensic. Now let's move forward. The next thing that you need to understand is the phases of investigation. Usually there are 4 stages of investigation, but you can add multiple depending on the work that you are doing. So a normal methodology or investigation process includes the first stage, that is identification or collection of storage of the process. The first one is identification. Recognize and locate the relevant digital evidence sources. Determine which devices may contain critical part or critical data. Let's take an example and try to understand the first stage. In case if you are trying to find details on a suspect's phone, you might have to first locate whether you are trying to find a deleted contact or a deleted chat. In case you are trying to find deleted WhatsApp messages, you already know where to look for and where the database are stored. So identifying is the first step, or collection is the first step. The next step is preservation. Now the next step is really important because you are going to preserve or secure the evidence to prevent modification and create a forensic image. We are going to practically take a look at how to create forensic images, and we'll learn how to use FTK Imager. But the second step is to preserve the original data. You will be creating an image before working live on the processed or the data or the device. So a preservation part is really important. Third step is collection. You need to try to gather as much information as possible. So if you find a device, if you're working on a case where the device is a IP theft device and the case is of intellectual property theft, in that case you need to find system logs, network logs, and even storage devices. Follow the strict protocols and first work on the preparation and the collection and identification. The next step is to analyze and test the data. Now, since you already have created an image that you are going to work on, you need to extract and interpret the data, the evidence, discover hidden or deleted information through specialized techniques and tools. We'll be taking a look at recovery tools and all the tools that are used to analyze data. But for now, the fourth stage is all about analysis. There is a fifth stage which is not usually considered in the phases of investigation process or forensic methodology, but it is quite important. That is documentation and report. Obviously, we are doing the investigation to find and report it to the law agencies. So you need to record findings, comprehensively prepare a report suitable for legal proceeding and internal review. As I told in the previous video, we are going to report it and give a proper evidence and internal review to the provided case. So these are the four stages. The fifth one is reporting, and these are the phases of investigation process or forensic methodology. Now let's move to the types of cyber forensic investigation. There are a lot of type of cyber forensic investigation, but the broader ones are the five stages or five type of but the broader one are 5 types of cyber forensic investigation. The first one is computer forensic. Computer forensic is examination of personal computers or PCs or MacBooks and personal or local storage devices. Usually in these type of investigations, in these types of cyber forensic investigations, the data is usually recovered, and that is the only process that has been followed. The second type is network forensic. In usual cases, computer forensic is enough, but in most cases you might have to use network forensic, that is analyzing the traffic patterns and suspicious connections. In case of organizational level forensic, you have to correct and analyze the data and the traffic that is going to and fro from the devices. So you need to make sure that the traffic patterns are analyzed. In case if you are investigating a ransomware attack or a backdoor attack, in that cases you might have to analyze traffic that is coming and going from the network or on the network. This includes checking firewall logs and trying to capture the packets and analyze the packet. We will be taking a look at all the tools that are used, but this is some kind of attack. The next one is mobile forensic. In most cases, in mobile forensic, you need to extract the data from the smartphone and tablet and try to recover details like messages, location data, and app usage. A person might delete an app and might claim that he might have not used WhatsApp or certain messaging application. In that case, you need to find app data usage and location data. The fourth and the most important nowadays is cloud forensic. Cloud forensic includes virtualized environment and distributed storage devices, that includes remote storing and other forensic. This is also a new trend since cloud platforms are trending nowadays. There is also a fifth type, that is specialized device forensic, like examination of IoT device. In case of an intellectual property theft or a documentation leak, you might have to get the logs of a printer. That comes under specialized device forensic, that is IoT device forensics. Let's move to the next part, that is digital evidence collection process. The process is quite simple. First thing is you need to isolate the device. System isolation is really important because if you find a device, it can be a device of a suspect or a victim. A person might remotely try to erase all the data. So system isolation plays a big role in evidence collection. You need to isolate the system by putting it on flight mode and disconnecting all network access. In certain cases, anti-static bags are used to avoid damage to the data and the device. And remote wiping is also a case. To stop that, system isolation is really important. The next is forensic imaging. You need to use write blockers so that you don't write extra device or data on the device. So a write blocker is basically a system or a tool that allows you to block writing on the device but rather extracting the data. So it is a one-way process and you need to use it. Create bit by bit copies of the stored device. You don't just have to copy the files from the device to a different location, but you have to create an image that is an actual bit by bit copy of the stored device. A comprehensive collection method is used that includes gathering logs and even volatile memory dumps, that is RAM dumps and network captures. Both volatile and non-volatile data should be prioritized, and this is time sensitive. A computer might have volatile memory and the volatile memory can be erased. So time sensitive information should be taken care of. And you also need to follow chain of custody, that is document who handled evidence and when. Record all the transfers. There might be a case where a certain team member might have by mistakenly added some data or deleted something, or by mistake there can be certain mistakes. So in that case, chain of custody is really important. Next is forensic analysis preparation. A preparation is really important because we are going to work on real life cases and lives get affected by a single mistake. So the first thing is evidence verification. Calculate hash values of files that can be produced in the code, and this can be done by reviewing paperwork and understanding the search authority. Also, planning the examination based on the case type. You need to set lab environments accordingly. In certain cases, you might to use recovery softwares, whereas in certain cases, you might have to configure virtual machines for malware analysis. In case you are working on a ransomware attack, you might have to reverse engineer and find details of the location and how the network was affected. In that cases, the lab environment might be different. It also works on the target determination. Identify the key evidence source to examine it. Create an analysis strategy before starting and after starting the investigation. This allows you to get a timestamp and evidence collection and focus on high value data first. So for example, in case if you are working on intellectual property theft, the main thing would be the hash value of the IP that has been stolen. whereas in other cases the first major high value data would be recovered contacts. So target determination is really important, and workflow prioritization is really important. Examine and establish examination sequences, allow resources to critical areas and timeline for deliverables, and try to create a paperwork evidence. Being aware of the conflicts, like for example privileged information, planning the examination based on the case type is really important, and the softwares might be different. Now let's talk about some special cases in cyber forensic. The first one is encrypted data. You need to understand that due to legal means, encrypt data is really important, and to decrypt it, you need to obtain the keys when possible. In case the data has been encrypted by the network administrator working in the same company, please get the keys to avoid further process of decrypting it or trying to crack the encryption or decrypt it without the key. So it is crucial that you understand that live system analysis is really rare, and in case if you're working on a live system, you need to capture the volatile memory before the system shutdowns. A volatile memory is the memory of the RAM, which is volatile, and hence after a restart all the data in the RAM can be cleared out. So if you are working on a live system, keep the system on and put it on flight mode and capture the volatile data first before the system shuts down. Document running and processes running and network connection that are going on should be analyzed first in case of live system analysis, and then imaging can be done. While in some cases you need to navigate through different legal framework across borders. If you have a data or a device that you're working on, or a forensic investigation that you are working on in some other part of the world, international authorities get involved, and to ensure that evidence is relevant to the court, you need to follow the investigation. There have been cases where intellectual property the theft has been treating the suspect's computer as a crime scene, whereas e-discovery is basically collection of information for lawsuits and focusing on metadata. There are cases of malware analysis which includes zero-day attacks that have not been reported, which can only be found by understanding how the app or the software or the malware is working. Behavior analysis is really important. A zero-day attack is an attack that has not been disclosed yet, and it is a special and a new type of attack. In that case, you need to understand the behavior patterns of the application or file, and you might find it suspicious. Since the attack has never been reported or the malware has never been reported, you need to reverse engineer it and develop custom extraction tool when needed and understand zero-day attacks. It is really important to do it. Now let's summarize the key principles of cyber forensic. The first one is structured in investigation, which is follow systematic path. Next one is evidence integrity, maintain that the data is not altered and it is preserved as it is. And clear documentation is really important, and record all the actions for legal and internal review, and adapt a methodology adaptation that works for special cases and work according to the scenario. So that's all for this video. Get a free certification now. Check the description now. Sesh.